All right, good morning. Great to see some familiar faces. Good morning, Kim, Debbie. I see Leo popping on. Great to have you guys. So this is our bi-monthly builders call, and I would love for today to be a collaborative conversation. And how many of you have seen a lot, heard a lot, are excited about all of the promotion all over social media and in your email inbox about co-sponsorship? All right. So for those of you that are really excited, I would love to hear from you. Just kind of get a check-in and a feel where everyone's at with it, because everybody's at different layers of perspective and understanding around it. So for those of you that are really excited about it, share with me why you're excited.
I'll go first.
All right.
We just met with Cindy Blankenberg and Jorge, who was like the previous branch recruiter for the C21 office they used to be at. And he's already at EXP. So we've had 2 calls with him so far about the 2 of them co-sponsoring, because he's in a different leg down in Ventura. We're here on the Central Coast. The office is here on the Central Coast. They took the directory for that office and went down the line, and they've already made a list of who they're going to reach out to first. So we're already starting. We have our first lunch next week, and they're going to build a leg under Cindy.
Very cool. So definitely excitement around that, because now you're able to leverage the influence of him and the locality and the relationships that you have in that local area to be able to work together to build and grow. Love it. Who else is excited about it and why?
Casey, good morning. Good to see you. Love the glasses, by the way. I am hiking. Hope you guys can hear me okay.
I love it. I love that you're hiking. You retain
Yes.
more when you move and learn. Did you know that?
Yes. Tony Robbins 101. Absolutely. Peak state. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it for 2 reasons. I'm excited about it personally, but I'm most excited about like everybody in the community, just because I think anything in life is all about eliminating limiting beliefs. And one of the limiting beliefs, I think, for a lot of people was, well, I could have done this or I could have done that, or I wish I would have had this opportunity to, partner with this person. And I'm excited because the entire company is available for everybody, close to 90,000 people that we now have an opportunity to think about how we can collaborate, leverage their superpowers. If your superpower is more production, you might find somebody that's more tech, where you can partner up, right? So maybe somebody's social media, maybe somebody is production. So you can just combine your superpowers. I think that's what I'm most excited about. And I, I mean, I'm speaking on different stages. Like I just came back from Hawaii, and I'm already doing something with Dylan, right? He's selling close to 1,000 homes in Hawaii. Never would have had an opportunity to connect with them, but now we're collaborating on an event. So we're going to be doing some co-sponsorship stuff together. So I just think it's really exciting. It really infused the energy of collaboration and abundance at a really high level. So I think it's going to be a great initiative to the whole company. And Miss Casey's muted.
Thank you for sharing. Who else is excited about it and why?
I'm excited, but honestly, I don't know enough about it to be like, I don't know enough about it. That's why I'm on this call.
Got it. Love that. Thank you for your honesty. All right, who else?
This is Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi there. I am very excited. I just talked to somebody that I used to work with at a different brokerage, and we had a really good conversation yesterday about who we're going to target and how we're going to work together and things. And then he got so excited that he did a post on it on Facebook and shared it several different places.
That's awesome. Okay. So I feel and first off, thank you everybody for sharing. And I feel like my responsibility as a leader is to always be in integrity with myself, and also giving the entire picture. And so here's the thing, for those of you, how many of you guys have done work with Dr. John DeMartini? No? Okay. So for those of you that name may be new to, the whole body of his work sits on how laws of the universe work. And he specifically talks about, positives and negatives in the context of a magnet, and that a magnet is equal positive, equal negative, or equal effective, equal ineffective, potentially in a different context. And it doesn't matter how thin you slice the magnet, there's always going to be both. And where humans go sideways is when they're only focused on one aspect versus the whole picture to be most effective. So for people that only focus on positive, there's a euphoria and a manic like excitement that can happen that will always be followed by some kind of crash. For people that are only focused on the negative and aren't seeing the benefits in anything, they essentially dig themselves a hole, and that can get deeper and deeper. And the truth is that any moment in time in nature and the universe, there's an equal number of benefits and drawbacks that exist. And so in this context of the conversation around co-sponsorship, I feel like my role as a leader in our organization is to clearly communicate the entire picture so that each person in this community is empowered to use the tool of co-sponsorship at a really high level. Let me tell you some unintended. So Rick and I coached with this guy for a while, and he would always talk about the unintended impact of choices or decisions, right? And so there is, along with all this host of really amazing things that go with co-sponsorship, there's a whole other side for people that are not necessarily clear or are only seeing one thing about it. So some of the things that have come up is like, oh, well, I just want a different sponsor. Like, why can't I just have a different sponsor, move my sponsor, which is an issue if you look at the integrity of what we're building, right? Because EXP's system and model is about you being able to create legacy wealth by building an organization where you're attracting people that are attracted to you and that you're going to invest and grow with, right? So that's an unintended impact, right, of a really great program that's just rolled out. Another unintended impact, there's lots of unintended impacts that can come up when we're not aware of them, right? And so I always say that anything that's great, use your powers for good. Things that are also great can be used for things that are not so effective depending on the come from, right? So if we look at co-sponsorship as a duplication model, you will take a 7-generation compensation plan and turn it into a 3-generation compensation plan, which is the least competitive that would sit in the market. For those of you that don't understand what I mean by that, is the sponsor names a co-sponsor that names a sponsee. When that sponsee comes in, they're going to name, and as that keeps growing, if you had a co-sponsor on level 1, a co-sponsor on level 3, a co-sponsor on level 5, and a co-sponsor on level 7, the upline organization only gets paid on levels 2, 4, and 6. And so revenue share has now disappeared if you use co-sponsorship as a duplication model. And so there's important things I think to like think about in the context of co-sponsorship of really how to be most strategic in using it for an organization to be healthy and also to flourish. So the examples that we heard so far on the call today of why people are excited about it would be examples of a healthy use of co-sponsorship, right? There's also things happening out there where it's being used as a weapon, right? So in the instance of, let's say I have a great relationship with Leo. I've been working on recruiting Leo for, the last 2 to 3 years, and I'm the procuring cause for Leo coming to EXP. And then Leo sees somebody at an event that he's like, oh man, I like that person. I want to learn what they're doing too. and they're out totally outside of the organization, well, co-sponsorship now makes it available to work together, right? But in some instances, co-sponsorship's being used as a manipulation. So like for maybe a big influencer that's got, oh, I've got X, Y, and Z that yes, if you co-sponsor with me and we work together, but I have to be the sponsor, you have to be the co-sponsor. And that would be a manipulation of using the system because it cuts off everybody that has been working. Like if I've been working to recruit Leo for 2 years, I've got my senior partners involved. We've been doing events. We've been doing all that stuff. And if Leo were to come into the EXP and name me as his co-sponsor, because a major influencer says, no, for you to get all of our stuff, we want to be the sponsor, you be the co-sponsor, we'll still be working together. I cut off all of my senior partners from the revenue share tree up because co-sponsors upline do not get what's going to get built underneath that agent.
That just happened to me, Casey.
So that would be an ineffective use of co-sponsorship and a manipulation of a very healthy system. And so I think it's important to be aware because everybody's got a different perspective and a different moral compass on how they like to do business and life. And so there is absolutely no judgment for me on how you guys are going to use it and do it. I know for me, and I will stand by this, we had a retreat here this last weekend and there was 10 agents that flew in from Colorado. And at the end of the 2 days, we were talking about the Builders Boot Camp and how I have that on a public website, which is Empire Builders Pro, that teaches you how to, with a system, duplicate and scale an organization. And it's completely free for the entire world to see. And someone that was at the retreat said, wow, I can't believe you're not selling this. And I'm like, nope, I'm not selling it. And they said, I can't believe that you're not using this as a, what's the name of it, where you give away value, free, and then sell something on the other end.
Call to
Leo.
action at the end, you mean, or what?
Um,
A funnel. Funnel.
Hook value and call to action.
yeah, to be selling something on the back end. And so I like, there's so many different ways to do business. And just so that you guys know, I think it's important from our community perspective, from an empire builders to the community's perspective. I think that like, I don't have all the answers for sure, but I can tell you culturally where the come from comes for anybody that will be in our organization. We will never use what we share as a manipulation of a beautiful system called co-sponsorship. It doesn't matter who's the sponsor or who's the co-sponsor. Any trainings that we're doing, any value that we're offering, anything is available to everyone that's going to be associated with us in our organization. And to be really brutally honest, if you want to know where that comes from, is that I spent 13 years in the direct sales industry, and one of the largest companies in the industry, over 50% of their $7 billion a year in revenue comes from sales aids that are being sold by leaders in the field to people in the field, not from the actual products that that company distributes. And so how I was raised in the industry is if we invest in people and people grow their businesses, the compensation plan that exists is what will reward us. And so it's why I don't charge for our trainings. It's why that Builders Boot Camp isn't a funnel to sell you guys something else. I really believe that how we win together is by being the best that we can be in utilizing the platform that EXP's provided us and doing that in a way where you never sacrifice in the long term for what looks tempting in the short term. And so there's a principled way to do business and there's a principled way to do life. And so the purpose of today is really just to like flesh out if there's any questions or things that you guys want to understand differently. Like there is, and I go into every situation, there's an equal number of benefits and there's an equal number of drawbacks, right? So co-sponsorship, there's an equal number of benefits, there's an equal number of drawbacks depending on how it's being used. And it comes down to the application of that, right? So would love to just open it up for any comments, questions, and even just, you know, conversation around this topic, because I think that a confused mind does nothing, first off. Number two, I don't want anybody to be afraid of it because it's a really great opportunity, right? Like if I'm working to sponsor an agent that's in Florida, that is a long-term relationship of mine, and that person really wants to be boots on the ground with people working in their community, I'm going to find a co-sponsor to co-sponsor them in Florida. I'm going to be the sponsor because it's my relationship and I'm procuring cause for that person coming to EXP. But the co-sponsorship means that, let's say, okay, Stacy, I'm going to use you as the example. So Stacy, let's say that you're coming into the business and you're my prospect and we've got a relationship. You're the person that lives in Florida. And you say, yeah, but I want to be going into an environment where there's an office, where I'm going to have accountability, where I'm going to, have boots on the ground, people teaching me, like day in and day out working and doing stuff. So Stacy, in that instance, I might go, okay, well, let's use Vegas instead, because Lonnie's in Vegas. So Stacy, in that instance, I would say, oh my gosh, I know this great agent, Lonnie, and let's say Lonnie's outside of my organization and she would be perfect for you. She is focused on being a mom, just like you are. However, she is a killer agent. She does over 20 deals a year in her quote unquote part-time, which, oh, by the way, national average is like 3 deals per agent. So I think you guys would love working together. So when Stacy, when you come in, I'm the sponsor, Lonnie's the co-sponsor, and you're the sponsee. So what that means is Lonnie is essentially the person that you're directly under in the family tree of EXP. So Stacy, as you go out and you sell real estate, Lonnie's going to get the revenue share on you because you're on her first level. I'm going to receive revenue share on you because you're my second level, even though I'm the person that brought you to the company. It's where you get positioned in the organization. Does that make sense?
It does, but then if I'm the co-sponsor, do I get paid on their 7 levels or do you? That's where I'm like,
So if you're the co-sponsor, so let's use this example and use somebody outside of our organization, right? So Stacy, if you come in as a co-sponsor, let's say Leo is not in our organization, Leo's outside. Let's use another example. Let's say Tina Call. Let's say Tina Call is going to be the sponsor and she wants somebody in the Philly area and you're the best of the best. So you're going to be the co-sponsor. So Tina's person is going to get sponsored underneath you. Tina's person will be on your level 1 and she'll be on Tina's level 2. Okay.
mhm.
You as the co-sponsor, let's say Rob is the person that comes in under you through Tina. So it goes Tina, then you as the co-sponsor, then Rob. Anything that you and Rob go grow and build together in the Philly area, you're going to get paid revenue share on those 7 generations, just like you would any other day.
Okay.
The difference is because you're the co-sponsor, anybody that is in your parent organization, like me, and those 7 generations up is not going to get paid any revenue share. The revenue share for that, all of that new growth that's going to come under you as a co-sponsor is going to go to Tina and her partners.
I get it. I get it now. And I had an agent in our area who's under Dan Beers and Kyle Whistle, and she said, "Do you like your sponsor? Because if you don't, then we can do it this way." I swear to God. And I was like, why do I know this is wrong, but I don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she
So
said.
let's back up and let's talk about a sponsor in EXP. I think there's can be a lot of emphasis put on like who your sponsor is going to be in EXP. And that can be great because of the value that a sponsor can be to you in EXP, but it can also be used as an abdication of responsibility and a victim mentality, making your sponsor responsible for what you're going to create or how successful you are or are not going to be. So if I go back to my years in the direct sales industry, what we would say is that if the only thing your sponsor ever did was connect you to the opportunity, they have done their job. Anything else that you get is an extra. They're not going to build the business for you. They can't build it for you. You've got to do it for yourself. Like if all they did was open the door for the opportunity to get you in here, what you do is on you moving forward, right? So that is the culture that I come from. Now, is that what we do? No, we do a ton more things for people when we sponsor them. But from an expectation standpoint, the drawback of expectations around sponsorship is my success is going to be dependent on my sponsor, not myself. So, and in this, there is a very dangerous situation when somebody is not taking 100% responsibility for themselves, their business, their results, and their life. And they're now wanting to make it about who they're sponsored under. Some people will say, oh, well, my sponsor left EXP. I don't have a sponsor. I need to change sponsors. BS. There's 6 more people that have been investing in that person and you more than likely over a period of time. Go reach out and make relationships with those people, right? So I think that there is an opportunity for us as leaders in the field, and particularly with EXP, to get really clear in helping to educate people around what a sponsorship is and what a sponsorship isn't. And let's be honest, we're in the people business, right? So it's only a matter of time before everyone's going to have some kind of breakdown with their sponsor. It's it's like, it's just life, right? But that doesn't mean you go change sponsors or go try to manipulate the system and, go, well, I don't want them. I've heard like all the craziest things in the world. I don't want them making money off me. Well, great. They're not, because it's not your money. It's EXP's money that they're giving back to the people that are in your, in your revenue share organization that came in before you. Like, people lose their minds in all clear business sense when they get emotionally, the emotional equilibrium gets off around not having a healthy understanding of what all of these things mean. So from my perspective, from our perspective, it's like, okay, what is a sponsor? The sponsor is a person that is the procuring cause that's been there with you in the conversation on an ongoing basis. You've got the relationship and you're coming into EXP through them. If for some reason you're not in the same market and you're not in the same area and there's some kind of level or layer of support where you would need a co-sponsor, find someone great and use someone great in that area. If that's what's keeping them from coming to the company, is not having someone local, use that, right? So I'll give you another scenario. We have a group that we've been working with, for the last couple of years. And they didn't understand the co-sponsorship, the implication of co-sponsorship, right? This is the next layer of it. So we've been working on this group for a couple of years, and they decide that they're going to, now come to EXP. Well, the pre-buzz of co-sponsorship gets released, and they look up and see, oh my goodness, there's this other, person in the marketplace that I want access to their tools and resources. So I want them to be my co-sponsor. And we want to come in with a co-sponsor to have access to those tools and resources. Now, this is really kind of an interesting thing because truth be told, everybody's giving away their stuff, you guys. There's no secret access to tools and resources. Everybody's sharing anything anyway. So this is a perception, right? And so, I start to look at the implications of this and the blood drains from my face, because this group is going to be in total close to 40 agents that are all going to be coming in because of the dynamics of how this has been in play for 2 years. This person who's like, oh, we want this person to be our co-sponsor, I've never even heard of, don't know who this person is. Like, okay, so let's have a conversation about why. And immediately what I can see, because what I know from a business perspective and looking at having a healthy revenue share organization that's going and growing, is that if this group, who the co-sponsor or proposed co-sponsor does not know anybody that's in this group except for the 2 people, the rest of the group, no. And anybody that's, in our 7 levels up, there's don't work together, don't know each other, no connection, right? So in this instance, the perception is, well, if we have them as co-sponsor, we're going to be stronger in the market to grow and build an organization because of how much business they're doing. And we can say that we're in business with them. And I'm like, okay, but let's look at what that actually does. It takes this group, and I think about, how does that impact the sponsor and the person that sponsored them, right? So immediately what that would do to the person that they would otherwise be sponsored under is it's going to push all of those people that are coming in into level 4. And so if you think about EXP's compensation plan, the first 3 levels are open to everybody. And all of those 40 agents now would be pushed to level 4 with somebody who is busting their butt to build an organization because financially their back's against the wall. And working with this group is going to be huge in their growth, except for now it's just going to get taken away with a co-sponsor that nobody knows being named for the perception that it's going to help them grow and build faster. Downside of co-sponsorship. Right? So it's like, hey, we'll support you in whatever you want to do. But my recommendation is if you're going to choose to name a co-sponsor that you want to name for the reasons that you want to name that co-sponsor, you go to the person that you have directly, that will be, in this case, now you'll be on their level 2 instead of their level 1, and have a conversation that you're deciding to co-sponsor and manage expectations they're not going to see any revenue share coming from that until they either cap or have 5 to 10 agents that are personal FLQAs so that they can get paid on the growth and investment that they're doing in you. That's not going to be a fun conversation to have, but have it because it's the right thing to do so that there's no surprises, right? Because in that instance, I guarantee you, if that conversation didn't take place in a proactive space, there's going to be relationship damage and relationship fallout, right? So my job as a leader is to stay neutral and say, hey, my job is to give you all of the stuff that you may or may not, and they had done the funny thing in this, not funny, but the thing in this instance is what so many people are doing today is they're going to Chat GPT. And they had pages of all the benefits from Chat GPT around what co-sponsoring with this person was going to mean for the growth of the organization. Well, Chat GPT can't tell you what it doesn't know, what it doesn't understand based on the dynamics of the benefits and potential drawbacks that could come from that. Who does? Somebody that understands what our revenue share structure is built like, why it's built with the integrity that it's built with, and the benefit impact and drawback impact, potential drawback impact of co-sponsorship depending on how it's getting used. So in this instance, that entire organization came in, that person opted not to name a co-sponsor, Oh, by the way, the co-sponsor they were going to name has been here for several years, and their group would immediately have grown by over half overnight for work they never did with people they don't know, for the perception of being able to say, I'm in business with this person. Now, how could we flip that and use co-sponsorship in a healthy way moving forward? You want to be in business with that person? Great. And you want access to their tools and resources and be able to say that you work together? Great. Go to an event together, or in a community where you have shared influence that someone wants to work with both of you. Use the co-sponsor arrangement to bring in that new person. And now you're working together with that new person to grow and build new growth together. You're in partnership, you're in business. You can say, yes, we work together. You don't have to say only in this leg. You can just say, yes, we work together. We share, we work together, we collaborate, right? And that is a healthy use of co-sponsorship in that same exact group of people, right? So I know this is a lot of information, and trust me, it's taken me a while to get my head wrapped around it, because in my gut, I'm like, I see that it can be really exciting, but it also feels something in there feels really icky. And I wasn't clear on what the icky was until we've gotten, further down the road. There's other instance where somebody who's a major influencer with our company, we have somebody that a good leader in our company has been working with for 4 years that was just getting ready to come over and said, hey, we're in the local market. We'd like to work together, but would you mind if we're the sponsor and you're the co-sponsor? Because if we're not the sponsor, they're not going to get all of our tools. We're not going to share everything with them if we're not the sponsor. Manipulation of sponsorship, co-sponsorship, run for the hills, right?
We just had one of those instances with someone on my front line that was at the retreat.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, right?
They'd already filled out their application too.
Ay, ay, ay.
It was
So-
almost like borderline bullying.
It can be, yes. And if you don't know and understand the system and how it works and why it works and how to use it for the highest and best good, this is why we're having the conversation. Now, I'm the kind of a leader that I'm never going to go on social media and be shouting these messages from the rooftops, because I want to support the company in its growth. I want to support our leadership team in the good that they're doing to help grow the company. And I want to be always edifying of the company. And I don't want to ever publicly de-edify anyone or anything, right? But at the same time, I'm not going to roll over and stay silent while something that's been built for growth and for good gets used in ways that are not necessarily, from my perspective, um, healthy or fit within my set of values. So as a leader, that's why I'm having this conversation with all of you, to be able to flush out questions, flush out conversations. Like there's no, it doesn't, and you still may be in process around understanding it, or when to use it, when not to use it, how and why. Trust your gut. If something feels off, just ask more questions. And anybody's free to call me, free to reach out to me. And I'm always going to look at it. It's never going to be personal. It's always going to be strategic and based on integrity and values and a long-term business, never a short-term manipulation or something that is going to be good for you and not good for someone else. It's got to be good all the way around. Claire, you've got your hand up.
Yes. So I remember when I first heard about it, it was like going to be a use case of like 10%. So I thought, well, I'm going to keep, I'm going to learn about this, because it seems like since it kind of started getting legs in March, everyone's throwing it out for almost every use case. And I just feel like that's not it. And then I got invited on a call with a large group that may or may not have a wolf on their hat, and said, come on our call and we're going to tell you how we're going to be the sponsor and you're going to be the co-sponsor in all of our relationships. And I was like right now my stomach gets sick, and I'm like, I don't want to go on that call, because I don't even want to hear it. Like I actually couldn't go. Jesse wanted me to go, but that seems like a crazy thing. And I feel like of the 20 people I have brought, which is small, I know, but I feel like one person who you talk to, who like now is sorry that she doesn't have a local anchor, might have been a good use case for this situation. And that's, not even 10%.
Yeah. And that is the exact person that I thought of, would like, oh, that would have been a great, because she has an idea about all these people she doesn't know, about how the online presence they have in the community she wants to have, but everything she's going to be doing is local. And if she's not with you, she's like, and local and long term, right? So co-sponsorship in that instance would have been great, with you as the sponsor, with them as the co-sponsor. That would have been a fantastic way to use it for what she believed having access to that community was going to give her, right? And yes, the little logo, wolf logo, that is, my blood boiled as I watched all the scenarios, and that being positioned as, well, we're the ones that are bringing the value because we have X, Y, and Z. So therefore we are always going to be the sponsor. You will be the co-sponsor. Yeah, like really angry as I watched that, to think like, for people that don't know, don't understand, would go, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Look at all the value that this community brings. And of course, if we could just be connected, we'll still be in business together and we'll still be working, because I'll be the co-sponsor and we can build together, and da. Gross manipulation of, and I'm actually going to be using my voice in a very respectful way to our corporate leadership team around the stuff that's happening in the market that I feel is a word that I won't say on this call because it's profanity use of and manipulation of what is intended to be something really great, that can be really great when used in the way that it's designed to be used, in a healthy way. So yeah. All right. Any other comments, questions? I know this has been kind of like a heavy topic. This is the most calm I've been in being able to discuss it as of late, because it has definitely triggered my little emotions.
I was just gonna say, Casey, that I'm 100% on board with your thought process and your leadership and values and integrity, right? So I just love what you're sharing. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for being that shining light. And I'm sure everybody feels the same way. We super appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Casey, I do have a question. Well, actually more of a thought.
Yeah.
Shouldn't, sorry, my camera's off. Shouldn't, like, when it comes to co-sponsorship, like, shouldn't someone from like leadership have a conversation before onboarding someone into co-sponsorship to figure out really like, the situation before it even starts? Because I feel like obviously people could be misled, right? And then having the conversation with the who they select as their sponsor and then their co-sponsor, and finding or figuring out who was the procuring um person before it actually happens. Like, for example, I had one where I was supposed to be the sponsor and the mentor, and that person ended up going to someone else, but I still ended up as the mentor. Like, I didn't fight it or anything like that, but it's just like for co-sponsorship, I do feel like it needs to be almost like when they interview you, right, to become a mentor. They interview you and they tell you, yes, I give you the green light to be a mentor, or no, you don't have the green light.
Yeah, so here's what I would say. When you're sponsoring anybody into the company, never send them a join app link. That's something to be done together so that when that conversation around sponsoring comes up, is that you're part of that. And if there's questions about it or it comes up at that point in time, the new person so here's what to remember is co-sponsorship, even sponsorship, is for the new person that's coming into the organization, and they get to choose. They get to choose. And because it's their business, it's their life, it's their, it's their future, right? So if I am recruiting somebody, they're not going through that joint application process by themselves, ever, 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 ever. And if they're going to name a co-sponsor, which it'll give them the option to do at the end, that has to be done within 5 days. And that's an opportunity to have a conversation about it. And so I call in, I've used this analogy for years. It's like having a helium balloon or a bunch of helium balloons. If you let go of the string, meaning you let go of the process, and in this instance, letting go of the strings would be, oh, I'll send you the join app. And you just let go of the string, you have no idea necessarily what's going to happen from that point out. And so we call it controlling the exposure process. I'm not sending somebody in the EXP world to go poke around. If they're going in there, I'm going to be with them. I'm not sending somebody on a production intake, a production review call of their business with our corporate growth team without me being there, ever. I'm going to be there for every step of that process, controlling the exposure, making sure that I can guide and direct it, jumping in where there may need to be jumped in, or guiding and directing, just like a host or a concierge would, in a restaurant experience. They're not just going to go, oh, hey, that table over at the right, here's your menus, go grab it. They're going to take you there. And so that is when we do that in when we're, attracting, recruiting, and taking people through that process, it's going to make sure that step by step, question by question, each part of that way, that we're able to guide it, invest in the relationship, and create a great experience where there's not going to be pandemonium, confusion, or any drama on the other side.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Because then yeah. So think about it from an energy standpoint too, right? Everything's energy. And in a growing and building energy, we want to be layering experience that's great after experience that's great after experience that's great after experience that's great. So imagine being somebody outside of the EXP community and being an agent coming in and being really excited about the possibilities about your future. And now 2 hungry EXP agents are in a conversation or reaching out to you like, hey, we can co-sponsor and work together. Like, I know you've been over here. I did see you at the event, but here's how we could work together. Why don't we have that conversation? I had somebody that was in Cabo that was not my prospect that ended up on my calendar. after Cabo. And it was somebody in Brent Gove's group. It was one of their prospects. And they specifically said, I would never sponsor with that person. They got me to the event, but I don't want to work with them. And so they had a call on my calendar. And so I had a conversation with him about EXP, you know, helped him fill in the gaps. And then I immediately called Brent Gove afterwards. And I said, I just got off the phone with so-and-so. They somehow got a call on my calendar. Here's the situation. And he immediately said, well, we could co-sponsor if they want to sponsor with you. And I said, I didn't offer them sponsoring with me. I took them to our Empire Builders Pro resources page and I showed them everything and anything they could ever want to be successful in building an organization and told them to use whatever they wanted. Please go follow up with your person or have somebody follow up with your person. Right. And that's me. Could you use co-sponsorship and have it be legit? Yeah, I could, you know, if that person really wanted to work with me, I could go back and say, you know, hey, well, the person that brought them to the event's going to be cut out because they don't want to be sponsored by them and work with them. And that happens. Right. But the reason why they got on my calendar is because they saw me presenting the Rick Geha Award. That's it. Not because they knew me, because they had an experience of me on stage, which goes back to being on stage, being asked to speak is it's a privilege, but it's also a responsibility, right? And so in that instance, I would not feel good about sponsoring, co-sponsoring, like anything with that person because I didn't, they saw me in a, they saw me in a context in a moment. Like I didn't have anything to do with them and the conversations that they've been in about EXP the last couple of years. Could I use it that way? Technically, I could legitimately use the co-sponsorship that way where I could be the co-sponsor and they could sponsor. But I'm not going to suggest that or even make it an option because that doesn't feel good to me. Right. So everybody gets to work within the way that they want to work. And no judgment, right? At the end of the day, you've got to lay your head on the pillow that you're going to sleep on and actually be able to go to sleep. Right. And for me, that is more important. And I trust that whatever is mine is going to always come to me. It will always come to me. And when I can do business in a way where I lay my head at night on the pillow at night and I feel really good about myself, is that I will always have more than my fair share. And that being scrappy and being manipulative and being like all of the things that we can be to create results and get what we want or is not a strategy that I'm going to use to build the vision that I have. I'm going to always stay aligned with who I am and know that I'll be rewarded, that I'll be rewarded for that. Right. So no judgment against other people that have other ways of doing things. Like they're probably not sleeping well at night, or at some point once they realize they may not be sleeping so well at night, and that'll be on them. And there's just, there's nothing that can replace peace of mind and being good with the person that looks back at you in the mirror. So I would encourage you, like in life and in business, never sacrifice what you want in the long term for what might look good in the short term or short-term advantage or benefit. Because that's going to be part of your story forever. Like whatever you do will be part of your story forever. And so what's the story that you want to feel good about telling and not have to leave out all a bunch of parts of what the actual story is, on any path on your road to success or on your people's road to success, right? We always say the truth is good enough. And so let it be good enough.
There's a saying that Jesse said when I can't remember, I think it was Cindy. Cindy and I were on the call, and he said, and this can work either way, but the universe is rewarding you for being the human that you've always been. And that can work both ways, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's in a different place around their growth and development, right? I have an email thread in my inbox now that Leo is a part of that I just want to like jump off my deck because of the level of victim mentality, not taking responsibility and attempting to pin things on a group of really incredible humans who are self-developed, self-aware, and servant leaders that would give their left eye for anyone. And it's like, okay, but I have to look and go, well, that's where that person sits in their development, their awareness. They haven't invested in themselves. They're not growing personally. Things aren't going to change for them in their business until they do. And the undeveloped side of Casey just wants to use my very direct communication to like completely silence any conversation moving forward and be right about what I'm saying. And then the developed part of Casey is like, nope, have grace. That's where they're at in their journey. They don't know what they don't know or don't want to know right now, which is why they're at. I wouldn't trade places with them and let them be. Like, people will figure it out when they figure it out, when they want to figure it out, right? And so again, this is to just be aware, right? It's that whole idea of awareness before change, right? So I think that it's important that we have awareness around all of the initiatives that we have. We have awareness around why EXP is built the way that it is. We have awareness around why there's nothing wrong with the model, and the structural integrity of it guarantees that you have a foundation to actually have legacy wealth creation as it grows and builds over time, provided the integrity stays in place. And so that is foundational to any long-term success. So I know that everyone on this call are like-minded, and we're people that want to do the right thing and constantly level up and go play at a really high level and create amazing things and be edgy and be strategic and do that all within the context of really helping elevate people and doing like keeping the integrity game like top notch, right? It may not be the loudest, but over time it's the most powerful. So with that, is there any other questions or comments before we wrap today's call? I'm going to give you the gift of time.
I love it, Casey. I was just gonna say, I love everything you're saying. I'll just share one quick thing. Something did happen to like me even before this whole announcement. This is not the one that you were just describing, but we announced somebody, and then somebody in the marketplace reached out to the person and tried to do this whole Hey, I just noticed you joined. You should co-sponsor with us. We can give you all these additional resources. Completely out of integrity. But the only reason I'm going to share that is like if something like that does happen, don't just be quiet about it. I went out and I had the conversation and I said it is completely out of integrity, and I brought it up to corporate. I'm like, I'm not going to sit around and allow anything like that happen in our company. So if something like this does happen, bring it up to somebody's attention. Like, don't allow it to happen, because it's all of our companies, right? So every single time that something like this happens, we got to make sure that we shine a light to it, so we can make sure that, hey, this is not right. This is the way it's supposed to be done. So I told the guy, I'm like, wait, am I supposed to like not announce people because I'm going to be worried about you just calling every single person I just announced? I'm like, it was just the funniest, craziest thing. And yes, like the blood flushed out of my face, like you said earlier. But ultimately, we got a positive resolution out of it. But yeah, we should not allow those kind of things to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is, Selena, would you mind dropping the EXP co-sponsor toolkit in the chat just so that everyone's got it? And if there's, you can reference all of the company's resources there on it. That's great. And here's the bottom line. EXP is going from 90,000 agents to 500,000 agents. And that window of growth over the next 5 to 7 years is bigger than any window of growth that happened before. Rick and I came in at 2,400 agents, and over the next 8 years, we went to 90,000. The growth between 90,000 and 500,000 is a lot bigger window, right? So you're not late. It's not too late for you. If today is your first day, congratulations. And let's get to work and let's grow and build and go help agents with their businesses and their lives. And let's do it at a really high level and look back and be able to connect the dots and be really proud of ourselves for the impact that we're making and the lives that we've touched for better. And most importantly, the humans that we're going to continue to become in the process as we continue to learn and grow ourselves. Like, that is really what we're about. And that is a no fail formula. Is if you're committed to staying in growth and growing yourself and are with people that are doing that same thing, life is going to continue to be beautiful, and the best will always be yet to come. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your collaboration, for your input. My phone is open. My door is always open. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to navigate any situations you might find yourselves in, or just even ones that you have questions or want to get some clarity around. I am here for you. My calendar's open. Zoomwithcasey.com will always get you to it. So make it a great day, everyone. We'll see you soon.